Two of the most deadly forms of Muda that you will face in your journey of continuous improvement are overproduction and inventory. Pull systems can be quite effective at addressing these two forms of waste. As we've learned, a pull system will help you build to demand and manage the flow of inventory. With this in mind, we need to answer a few very important questions to understand how a pull system effectively deals with these two costly forms of waste. Those two questions are, number one, why does inventory accumulate in organizations? And number two, why is inventory so dangerous? We'll answer those questions in the following two modules, but before we do, we'd like to take a stab at answering those questions for yourself. You can answer them in the upcoming assignments section or in the community. As a reminder, those questions are, why does inventory accumulate in organizations, and why is inventory so dangerous? We'll see you in the next module. Many companies use inventory to combat such problems as late deliveries, defects, and various other issues. And while it may help mitigate these problems, it can also create other problems. You see, when a company creates inventory buffers to meet customer demand, they tie up cash, take up space, and cause inventory to accumulate all throughout the production processes as well. These are two distinct strategies that have been used to deal with inventory buildup over a long period of time. Those two strategies are the just-in-time strategy and Lean. These two strategies are customer-focused strategies that focus on pulling materials rather than pushing them through a production process. This in turn helps eliminate many of the causes of inventory buildup all throughout a company's value stream. To do this, however, you must be able to understand and find where and why inventory accumulates. We will focus on why inventory accumulates. Just remember, these reasons are general by nature, and you may have some more specific reasons for inventory accumulation in your organization. One of the most common reasons that inventory builds is because many processes have difficult or lengthy changeovers which cause machines to experience downtime while workers change materials, tooling, or other settings to begin production again. Another reason that inventory can accumulate is to combat shelf life. Sometimes when a material has a shelf life, companies will overproduce to try and use all the materials before they expire. This causes excess inventory. Just-in-case production is another very common reason. Just-in-case production is an inventory strategy where companies keep large amounts of inventory on hand just in case of a sudden increase in demand. In addition to this, inventory often accumulates or depletes quickly as a result of those pesky close-of-the-month rushes. Inventory can also accumulate as a result of unbalanced production. When capacity is not balanced correctly, it can result in bottlenecks throughout a process. Another very common reason for inventory accumulation is when inventory is built in batches and must be transported from larger machines or processes to smaller ones. This often results in queues of inventory. The final reason that we will suggest is that inventory accumulates as a result of frustrating and complex processes. Many companies will build excess inventory because the process is so complicated they do not want to build it again. With this in mind, buffering for demand changes and unexpected changes is not the worst thing that a company can do. Where the problem often gets out of control is when too much excess is created. Some safety stock on hand can be beneficial and help a company to combat sudden changes in demand or in production. While techniques like safety stock and buffer inventory often give the appearance of production, one must also note that they also seem to hide many problems within a process too. As we've discussed in other modules, a pull system reverses the flow of materials and information and triggers the production of items and information that is based on real customer demand. For example, a Kanban system can assist in pulling demand through the value stream as workers begin to adapt to the new system. As time goes on, suppliers begin to understand that building to the demand of customers can create flow that is based on real demand. This in turn makes work easier and drives waste out of an organization. One way that companies can gauge their progress of pull implementation is to regularly observe how flow is within an organization and watch as work in progress inventory begins to lower. Now, before we go, we'd like to ask you a few questions that you can answer in the comments section of the community or in the upcoming assignment section. First, what do you think the value would be in eliminating excessive amounts of inventory in your organization? And lastly, what concerns might you have about shifting from a push system to a pull system? We look forward to hearing your feedback, and we'll see you in the next module. Many people wonder, why is inventory considered wasteful? Inventory in itself is not wasteful. However, inventory that has no demand associated with it is wasteful. Inventory waste is any unnecessary storage of materials, products, or information. The key there is the word unnecessary. Many people don't realize that inventory is a lot like a graveyard. It is where the materials you have on hand lay until some demand becomes associated with it. Using this analogy, we can better understand why inventory is so wasteful and detrimental to a company. Let's look at a few different reasons why inventory can be so bad. Firstly, inventory ties up capital. When inventory has no demand, capital is tied up with no hope of turning a profit. In addition to this, that inventory will likely require more resources to get it sold. It also takes up space to store the inventory. When inventory space continues to grow, maintenance costs will rise, warehouse insurance will go up, and your company will need to pay taxes on these assets. In short, your holding costs will skyrocket as you grow your inventory. Another reason why inventory is so dangerous is obsolescence. Inventory, especially inventory that has a shelf life, can lead to extreme losses if obsolescence occurs. Inventory can also hide problems in your organization. And finally, any form of inventory requires resources. You have to move it, count it, store it, use energy and operations to manage it. In short, it creates waste, and the more inventory you have, the more waste you create. With all this in mind, the biggest challenge you will face when lowering inventory and implementing a pull system is your culture. Many of the individuals you will be working with will have a mindset that has been ingrained in them for a very long time. We depend on our inventory. How can we function if we lower it? That is the challenge, convincing those individuals that inventory is crucial, but only the inventory you need. When they see what can be done by pulling the demand and its effects directly to them, they will learn. We'll see you in the next module.